So I hope everyone can see my screen. So tonight's masterclass is just called the Cramp Protocol. I'm just going to share some knowledge or some experience that I have with cramps. As you all know, I do a lot of long distance running. I've been involved with cramps, brands also focused on cramps, and I do think I've got a little bit of a protocol going that really helps myself. So the first question that people usually ask is, what is a muscle cramp? And I just want to start by saying that most people don't 100% know what causes it. And I think that's why there's so many Buddha rota and things out there. It's because there is still that aspect that is unknown. I think in my experience, a lot of times it is just the exertion, it is the sweating, losing your minerals, not just magnesium, but potassium as well. And yeah, as you can see there, I just put a slide together on exactly how your muscle fibers work, and they contract and relax in coordinated waves, and there's some nerves involved as well. When it's overstimulated, the muscle does not release, and the lactic acid builds up, and the blood flow is compressed, and nerve endings signal intense pain. So we all know that a cramp is very painful. It stops you in your tracks. I once listened to somebody's talk where she said she can move forward and she can move backwards. And I think that's a very good description of it. And then obviously, when it comes to minerals, it's very complex. People always think one mineral is the solution, but it's not really true. And there is a complex interaction and absorption cycle also to play. I once heard this very nice description where it said that if you think about the different minerals as different color balls, like those balls that kids used to play with when they were still toddlers, and they all have to go through the same hole, different colored ones. If you have too much on the one side, you're going to have a hard time getting the balls through there. So you really have to look at the ratios and everything as well, and which minerals it is and the format before deciding whether it will help for a cramp or not. Here's just a few other reasons as well. Dehydration, this often happens when people run or exert themselves. Muscle fatigue, sorry, there's a spelling error there. Electrolyte loss, some medications as well, specifically people that are on blood pressure medication, people that don't have good circulation. And then obviously what I've also seen is people that don't eat a lot of fruit and vegetables that might be deficient in their minerals. They also tend to suffer quite a bit from cramps as well. So minerals don't exist in isolation. So they're always bound. So I think we've had this discussion before. I love the citrates. Why do I like them? So that's that first one, the magnesium citrate, and that's why it is in a lot of my formulas. Firstly, it's very highly absorbed. It's not inhibited by food or stomach acid. So you can take it with or without food. It's not going to affect its absorption at all. The citrate is very alkalizing. One citrate neutralizes 3 acid molecules, which is very important because a lot of times the acid build up also causes cramps and a lot of other negative effects on the body. It reduces the acid load on muscles. If you want to, you can actually Google it. There is some studies that they've done with athletes where they actually increased their bicarbonate load before they started taking part in events, and they found that if you have more of these citrate minerals or alkalizing minerals available, it takes a longer time before you actually reach that point of fatigue, which is very, very interesting as well. And yeah, then there's magnesium glycinate. It's an amino acid chelate, so it's excellent for sleep and relaxation. So here's another point that I usually want to stress as well. So I saw one of the guys that run with us is a local pastor, and he said to me, "Oh, have I heard about magnesium glycinate? It is the best one." He asked his pharmacist and whatever, and I always go back to the best for what. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. So I think when you look at the minerals and the formats that they are, you need to decide what it is that you're trying to achieve and then make sure that you have that format. So this is great for sleep and relaxation as well. It's got a high elemental magnesium content, but it doesn't help with alkalizing the body. So if you do a lot of exercise and excess acidity leads to fatigue and muscle cramping as well, then this is not going to help you as well. And it doesn't have a phosphate component as well. We're going to be touching on magnesium glycerophosphate, which has that phosphate component, which gives you the energy, which we all want. And then if you see a supplement with magnesium oxide or sulfate in as well, they've got low bioavailability. They're in general much cheaper as well. They can cause a lot of gastric distress as well, laxative effect, and it's not always absorbed so well. And the cheaper supplements that contain magnesium, I know from my years of working with formulations, if you couldn't make a cost work out, you just reach for the magnesium oxide. That's the one that's the most affordable. So yeah, so the bigger picture, it's not just magnesium, and this I've seen so many times. The first thing that crosses people's mind when they think about cramps is, oh, I need magnesium. And it is probably true. A lot of us are deficient in magnesium. It's involved in a lot of enzymatic reactions in your body. But when it comes to cramping, it is actually not the magnesium. I've got this very cool book here. I was actually thinking I want to have a masterclass on that. It's called Performance, Explosion in Sports, Anti-Doping Concept. And it's written by a German guy. I actually met them. They do a lot of testing in super athletes that train with them. They've got specialized blood tests where they look at your blood levels, not just your blood levels, but they also look inside your cells to look at your minerals and all kinds of things. And they've got different levels that they recommend. They even look at your thyroid and everything differently as well. And he is not a native English speaker, but in his book, he says athletes live dangerously because we do deplete a lot of nutrients. And in his book, he also says that potassium is often the big link when it comes to cramping and also to sweating, because as you can see there, you lose a lot of potassium and a lot of sodium as well when you sweat. That's why it's so nice when you do long distance running for the people to have some salt next to the road as well. They just offer you salt just like that, salt on a potato, salt on oranges as well, because you lose a lot of sodium. But then you can see there, potassium is very important. Magnesium, very little that you lose in sweat. So that's not really something that's so important to replenish then afterwards. So why does potassium matter? As I said, athletes lose approximately 300 milligrams potassium per liter of sweat. So potassium balance depends on adequate magnesium. So if people have a deficiency of magnesium, often they have of potassium as well. You need this potassium for your muscle cell contraction. It also works with your sodium. Recommended intake 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams per day. A lot of active people fall short because they do sweat a lot, especially if you're a heavy sweater. And people that don't eat fruits and vegetables and bananas and those type of things, if they don't really have those sources of potassium. And then which magnesium or source do I recommend during an event? So the one that I like the most is magnesium glycerophosphate. So it works very fast. As you can see there, this is a combination of magnesium and glycerol and phosphate. So it's 3 active components in one molecule. It's protected from your stomach acid as well. It's very well absorbed. It doesn't cause diarrhea. Remember, magnesium is quite well known to cause some gastric distress and cause diarrhea as well. So once you've taken it, especially in a spray format, it is immediately available to the body. The phosphate is the backbone of ATP. So this is the one source of magnesium that definitely gives you that energy as well. And as I said, it's very gentle on your digestive tract. There's a highly bioavailable magnesium, helps with nerve control. And then, yeah, as I said, the glycerophosphate, it just gives you that boost of energy. So what is also in this cramp spray, what is also important is fulvic acid. So I love fulvic acid. We've got a specific South African version called carbohydrate-derived fulvic acid. So what this means is it's not derived from peat like fulvic acid usually is. It's actually sugar under pressure forms carbohydrate-derived fulvic acid. And a friend of mine did a whole PhD on that, which means it's a great way of creating the fulvic acid. There's no chance of contamination, and the effects of fulvic acid is amazing. I was actually also introduced to fulvic acid by that same medical doctor that wanted me to develop Vitant. He said to me that he's getting such good results with fulvic acid, especially if he's using it alongside his antibiotics and for immunity and everything. And why is that? Is because fulvic acid is a great catalyst. It helps with the absorption of whatever you're using with it. But then it's also got some weak antibacterial and those type of effects, but it does have an anti-inflammatory effect as well. And that's great because now, remember we said a couple of slides back that a cramp is very painful. So you want whatever's in your spray to be absorbed well. And secondly, you want something to address that inflammation because it is very, very painful. Why is this sublingual? So it's just to bypass your gut so that you immediately have these minerals available. And then the one question about fulvic acid, and this is one thing that I have to warn people a while about, is it does have a characteristic taste. So if you warned about it up front, then you are okay and you expect it. It's when you're not expecting it and you taste it, because it does have like this characteristic type of taste, that you might just be a little bit thrown and then think, okay, maybe there's something wrong with your product. There's nothing wrong with your product. It's just the way that the fulvic acid tastes. And it is just, it has this brown type of color and taste. And remember, in the Cramp spray, half the formula is fulvic acid, so it is quite concentrated as well. So what is my Cramp protocol? So we spoke about alkalizing yourself and making sure you've got enough of the alkaline minerals and especially potassium. And this is on a daily basis. So to make sure that your acid load is not too high. And as I said, I think it's actually one of these brands as well, isn't it? Morton. They've got like a bicarbonate protocol. I've never tried it, but where you take bicarb and things beforehand, and their whole notion is that it's going to help you to reach that point of fatigue much later in a race. I have to be honest, I've never tried it. I'm very scared of taking things that are slowly releasing in my gut, but in essence, it does make a lot of sense. So there's two options for people to make sure that they have the potassium citrate in their system. The one is the alkaline capsules, either 2 in the morning or 2 at night, or just 4 at night. I take mine at night. And then option B, the alkaline base powder, 1 scoop. There's 2 types. I've just got a normal base powder. I've got a sport base powder as well. Both are in essence the same. The sport base powder just has an additional MSM, but in terms of the minerals, it doesn't really matter which one you use. They are identical. And this would be your baseline to take every day to make sure, especially for people that don't ingest a lot of fruits and vegetables and those type of things, to make sure that their acidic load is increased by your diet, and then exercise definitely as well. I mean, most athletes don't know that they've got an issue with uric acid until they have an injury, and then suddenly they realize, oopsie, I've been, this extreme exercise has really played havoc on my acid-alkaline balance. And then we've got the Cramp spray. So this is what goes with you. The other day I had to smile. One of my friends have now started calling this Joan, saying that he has to take Joan with. It was so funny. We were running and he dropped it because it's small, easy. You can take it with you on an event. He's like, oh no, I have to go back. I dropped Joan. So I was like, okay, go back, go get it. But it is very nice. You carry it with you. It contains magnesium, glycerophosphate, fulvic acid, a little bit of sodium, a little bit of dextrose as well. So it gives you that boost. You don't just use it for the cramps. It also, for me, it is standard, and I'll probably be using a lot of this on Sunday. I see an uphill, which I'll be seeing lots of. It is an up run, and I just spray under my tongue in preparation for what's coming. And even though I don't really suffer from cramps, if you run very far, it is impossible to not start getting that twitch in your calves as well. And this is quite portable, and you just spray as you need. This is just what the label looks like, just the specification. And as I said, there's sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium. It's all in there. It works quite fast. People can also, I've had like such good results. Now, we spoke about athletes, but even for people with restless legs or people that often wake up at night with cramps, they put it right next to their bedside table. And when they wake up, they just spray this. And it does give them quite good relief. You can't really overdose on it. It's not like it's such high quantities, so it's great. Just put it next to your bed, but if you're very active, just take it with you. Yeah, then I just wanted to answer some questions. I know people always looking for what is the best, but I think I have explained why I think the citrate is so important when it comes to cramps and this whole picture of what you're trying to build up in your body and what's causing the cramps. I don't really know. I mean, there's a lot of magnesium sources that's good for different things, but if you're talking about cramps and athletes and excess acidity, then the citrates are actually the best. There's a lot of overseas formulas where the whole supplement is just the citrate. And remember, we spoke about that study as well, where they gave the study participants calcium, vitamin D. One group got potassium citrate, the other group got potassium chloride. And the potassium citrate group had a statistically significant change in their bone density in 2 years, which is quite significant, which just shows that alkalizing your diet actually has a very beneficial effect on your bone density as well. Yes, and then people wanted to know, can you take both? You can. I would actually recommend all these products. You can use the base powder in the morning. You can take the alkaline capsules before you go to bed because there is a bit of bicarb in there as well. And then I use the cramp spray as needed. I take it with me on events as well. Yeah, and I think this is just a summary of the cramp protocol. So basically, just saying that you need to have either the alkaline powder or the capsules, and then on race day, you take your spray with.